Welcome back to the Life of Gautama Buddha series. In episode 25, we witnessed a major turning point in his journey of teaching. The Buddha came to the Gayasisa region, where the three Kassapa brothers and more than 1,000 disciples were practicing the tradition of fire worship. With his wisdom and compassion, he skillfully guided them to abandon their mistaken notions of ritual purity and instead taught them about the fires of greed, anger, and delusion that were burning the human soul. The Buddha's sermon, "All is on Fire," opened up a new horizon of liberation, helping the entire assembly attain arahantship. Next, the Buddha expounded the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts, emphasizing the importance of practicing morality in daily life. Finally, King Senya Bimbisara donated the bamboo grove Vayuvana to the Buddha and the Sangha, marking the establishment of the first foundation of the Dhamma in the kingdom of Magadha. As we move into episode 26, we will continue to follow the Buddha's journey of spreading the Dharma, discovering new lessons and the spread of the Dharma to many levels of society. The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni, episode 26, the story of hungry ghosts and karma. Passing through the northern gate, following the winding road between the Vaibhara and Virguda mountain ranges, one soon arrives at the bamboo grove, a dense forest stretching for dozens of miles, filled not only with bamboo, but also with many types of green and blue trees and herbs. There is also the large, clear Kalandaka lake, with a variety of spectacular lotus flowers. The Buddha walked with the 3 Kassapa monks to visit many places. Everywhere he saw squirrels and rabbits. Everywhere he saw the fragrant scent of flowers, leaves, and fresh, pleasant natural scents. Some caves were habitable, but could not accommodate many people. The problem was to build thousands of scattered huts, sanitary facilities, food and accommodation, and activities for the monks during the upcoming rainy season. Venerable Sir, Venerable Uruvela Kassapa replied, "Although the work is really heavy, it is not impossible. After all, we disciples are familiar with the ascetic life, and now wherever we are, whatever we do, we are pure and happy." "Yes, you are right," the Buddha smiled. "Tathagata is very pleased with the mind and wisdom you have achieved. However, from now on, you must diligently guide the congregation in their practice, so that their abilities in concentration, wisdom, especially expedient wisdom, will become deeper and broader. That is necessary for the Dharma. The issue of lodging and all related living facilities, from now on, is the duty and responsibility of lay people. You do not need to worry about it." In the afternoon, King Senya Bimbisara and his entourage came again. He reported an important matter. "Venerable Master, last night I had a dream that seemed real. A swarm of ghosts swarming appeared by my bed, whining, wailing. They shouted very strange sounds. I did not understand that language. The sound was not very clear. It seemed like Mayamasu Dukkita Peta, or so." After hearing, the disciple asked, "Who are you? What do you mean by crying to me like that?" Then they appeared for me to see. It was really terrifying. Their bodies were just dry bones, covered by a thin layer of gray, blue-black, purple skin, looking very strange. The tall ones were as tall as palm trees, like thorny bamboo. The short ones were as tall as 3-year-old children, like thornless cactus. Their heads were like dried young gourds. Their eyes were sunken deep inside like holes full of blood, full of pus. Their necks were small and long like needles, like straws. Their long hair, like tufts of grass covered in hideous mud, hung down to their backs and bellies, whose bellies were rice drums and drums. They had no clothes and had probably not eaten for millions of lifetimes. It was truly terrifying, horrifying, but also truly pitiful. Venerable world-honored one, who are they? And what should we disciples do now? Tathagata knows. The Buddha smiled, and he knows even more. The sentence that the great king did not hear clearly means that the hungry ghosts are complaining about suffering and hunger. This matter is not only related to the great king, but also has a predestined relationship with the 3 Kassapa monks and the 1,000 monks here. Having said this, the Buddha gathered the Sangha and told them the story of their previous lives. In the distant past, countless eons ago, there was a Samyak Sambuddha born. His name was Fusa. On that day, the Buddha returned to the capital to convert his father, whose name was Sayasana. The king had very strong faith and was also very strange. He only wanted to monopolize the daily offerings of the 4 requisites. only wanted to enjoy the blessings alone and not let anyone else interfere. So from the royal palace to the beautiful green forest area where the Buddha and the monks temporarily resided, the king had two screens made of wood and cloth to block the two sides, and in the middle was the path for the king and the thousands of people who served the alms food offerings. The king also had three princes, the Buddha's younger brothers, who were given the important responsibility of quelling rebellions at the border. They were all intelligent and brave, so with only 1,000 brave soldiers at their disposal, they pacified the country in a short time, and the remote residents were at peace. The king praised them and wanted to give them a worthy reward for their efforts, meaning they could choose whatever they wanted. The first prince had 500 subordinates, the second prince had 300 subordinates, the third prince had 200 subordinates, and in a flash they came to an agreement. We do not ask for the throne, land, pearls, or beautiful women, but only to take turns making offerings to the Buddha and the monks during the 7 rainy seasons. The king was startled like a leech on lime and resolutely refused to give it, and asked for something else. The princes also resolutely kept their own opinions, saying indirectly that a wise king must value his word and cannot break his promise. Then each side retreated a little, and forever, only knowing how to thread the needle. All three princes were made offerings during one rainy season. At that time, many great eons ago, the Buddha continued, the lifespan of humans was many thousands of years. The population was dense, not as small as it is now. The holy assembly of the Buddha Fusa always surrounded tens of thousands of people. Just imagine the mountain of food every day. Just imagine the tens of thousands of people serving every day. The three princes solved it quite smoothly and quickly. All the families of the princes, the families of all the warriors had to take care of the outside service. Furthermore, the property of the three princes was entrusted to a most honest and prestigious minister to look after the daily income and expenditure books. Then all the relatives, family members, servants, and servants of that person were responsible for the market, buying food, cooking. As for the three princes and the 1,000 warriors in attendance, they asked to enter the monastery, next to the Buddha, receive the 8 precepts, listen to the dharma, and practice meditation. All work went smoothly, and progressed smoothly. Only one thing arose. That was the children and grandchildren of the kitchen servants. When they saw the best dishes, hard and soft, they asked for food, crying loudly. Seeing so much food, they felt sorry for their children and grandchildren, so they secretly took it for them to eat. Day after day, without anyone noticing, they brought it home for the whole family to eat. In fact, that food was intended to be offered to the Buddha and the holy monks. When they had not yet enjoyed it, but they took it and ate it themselves, that was a very serious sin. This very serious sin was due to the karmic retribution of cause and effect. It was because they did not have the blessing but enjoyed great blessings, enjoying blessings that were not theirs, which was considered stealing blessings. Because of that retribution, many relatives, family members, eaters, and servants of the old minister in the past were condemned to become hungry ghosts, suffering from hunger, and suffering from cold for several lifetimes on this earth. During the time of Kassapa Buddha, the Buddha who existed before the Tathagata, clearly saw the karma and retribution of those hungry ghosts and told them, when a Samyak Sambuddha named Sakya Gautama appears on this earth, the three princes of the past and 1,000 warriors will attain the fruit of Arhat in that dharma. The old minister of the past, due to his integrity, purity, and justice, will become king of Magadha, named Senya Bimbisara. You are all relatives of that wise king, and only the power and virtue of that king can save you from the suffering, hunger, and cold of your life as hungry ghosts. After the Buddha finished telling the story, everyone felt cold. In the assembly of saints, no one had the ability to remember many past lives like the Buddha, so now they could clearly see the causes and conditions from the past. King Senya Bimbisara was shocked and silent for a long moment. Dear world-honored one, how could I know what power and merit I have to save them? Yes, the Buddha smiled. Hungry ghosts cannot eat human food, cannot wear human silk and brocade saris. They can only eat and wear the blessings that their relatives dedicate to them. Your Majesty is capable of holding a ceremony to place bowls of food, offer cloth to the Sangha, and after receiving, the Sangha will pray and dedicate that blessing to the hungry ghosts. Offering food will make the hungry ghosts full. Offering cloth will make them warm. Those hungry ghosts are originally your relatives, so only your power can save them. The Tathagata and the Holy Assembly only do the duty of messengers, receiving and giving blessings. Kneeling down with his 5 limbs, King Senia Bimbisara exclaimed, "Oh, how wonderful! O world-honored one! I will joyfully and wholeheartedly perform the ceremony of offering alms bowls, cloth, and many other auxiliary offerings to the Venerable Master and the Holy Sangha for a whole week at the royal palace. In addition, I also vow to build and construct the entire bamboo forest area. I will immediately build several thousand huts, large lecture halls, meditation halls, guest houses, dining halls, sanitary facilities, bathrooms, yards, landscape gardens, walking paths, warehouses, infirmaries. Everything will be thoughtfully and completely completed to offer to the Venerable Master and the Sangha, hoping that it will develop and grow in the near future. How happy I am to be a protector of the immortal Dharma." The Buddha praised the king's great merit and praised the sketch model of Truklam Monastery as a valuable religious work of the century in this country. After only one day of doing good deeds and making offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha as he wished, that night the king dreamed of very noble and beautiful deities appearing together to express his gratitude and inform him that they were full, happy, and had escaped the realm of hungry ghosts and were reborn as devas under the control of the 4 great heavenly kings. The next day, in a state of elation, the king went to the Buddha and told him the story. Incidentally, for 6 consecutive days, the Buddha preached about the realms, presenting in turn the causes and effects from hell to the Arhat realm. After the Dharma talk, Lady Videhi and hundreds of others attained the Sotapanna stage. The king was happy every day, his face radiant. He immediately ordered his ministers with professional design skills to complete the drawings according to his sketch ideas. Then, he estimated the labor and materials to build the bamboo forest monastery, Veuvanarama, in time for the Buddha and his holy assembly to spend the rainy season. The work was carried out immediately. Every afternoon, the Buddha was busy preaching and giving sermons to the children of noble families, mandarins, and the upper classes, then to the families of merchants, wealthy merchants, and some intellectuals and Brahmin scholars. The new and strange teachings were accepted by all classes. The king was deeply and mysteriously influenced by the Buddha and the teachings. At the age of 31, the king was mature enough to recognize the value of the new stream of thought, which both enlightened his mind and brought it into life, reformed policies, and spread the good and the beautiful to every home. Thousands and thousands of mandarins, soldiers, and citizens followed the king's example to follow the new religion. Perhaps among them there were some who were trendy, but most were faithful or were attracted by the bright personalities and pure lives of the Buddha and the saints. The royal family, the nobles, and the military generals, Kshatriyas, were attracted by the noble nature of spiritual values, which could be applied to serve humanity and society. The Brahmin and intellectual class were convinced by the accuracy, clarity, conciseness, and depth of the philosophical thoughts contained in the Buddha's sermons. The merchant class, the wealthy, the bankers, and the owners of the trade unions, Vasa, were extremely supportive of that pure and true atheistic Dharma, because they had spent a lot of money heartily giving away mountains of wealth, gifts, hundreds of thousands of sheep and goats, to pay tribute to all kinds of illusory gods and saints in the hope of making a good sale and making a fortune. Then they fed the Brahmins for free, dressed them well, and entertained them with their wives, children, and concubines who traveled from one slave farm to another slave farm to rob for free. The lower classes, such as workers, laborers, and dirty, hard-working people, Shudralas and Chandalas, were extremely happy to see themselves as valuable, equal to kings and queens. Even the Buddha, who was once a king, such a supreme being, also begged for food in front of every house, regardless of rich or poor, noble or humble. Indeed, in a very short time, the Buddha became a sacred symbol, and his halo overshadowed all the saints and gods in ancient religious traditions. This success was truly astonishing. The propagation of Buddhism is so favorable, but the other day, the Buddha talked to the three venerable Kassapa that a complete church is not only that, it also needs to meet many conditions, needs many other supporting factors. In the future, we still need many kings to protect the Dharma, need many queens, concubines, princesses, need many wealthy male and female holy disciples to protect the Dharma. On the side of the Sangha, we still need many princes, royal relatives, high-ranking officials, military generals, governors, nobles, scholars, intellectuals, Brahmins, merchants, craftsmen, paupers, hunters, animal keepers, fishermen, of many small countries to become monks. We need monks who are the best in wisdom, the best in supernatural powers, the best in asceticism, the best in preaching, the best in meditation, the best in erudition, the best in discipline, the best in dharma, the best in solitude, the best in secret conduct, the best in blessings. Gathering together many rich and diverse essences like that, only then can we hope to develop far and wide. Hearing the Buddha outline such a strategic action plan, the three Venerable Ones could clearly see his outstanding wisdom and vision. When the king ordered his ministers to bring workers and materials to the construction site, Venerable Uruvela Kassapa asked the Buddha whether the monks were allowed to help with the construction work. Buddha replied, "There is much to be done, Uruvela Kassapa. In addition to the time spent on alms round, every afternoon one should shorten the time spent on study and practice to help with this and that. The congregation is now all pure, there is no problem, but in the future it will be more numerous, and when there are many ordinary monks, complications will arise. At that time, the Tathagata will, at his discretion, establish the rules of study." Then the construction work began in full swing. Nadi Kassapa and Gaya Kassapa were present at the construction site every afternoon to urge the young monks in all the work. Meanwhile, the monks from the group of 5 Kondanya, the 50 members of the Yasa group and their friends, who were propagating in the neighboring areas, all returned to visit and pay homage to the master. They presented to the Buddha the difficulties and advantages on the path of propagating. In that atmosphere, 2 stars appeared, becoming the right-hand men of the master to further promote the wheel of the Dharma, namely Sariputta and Moggallana. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you have just listened to the video about the life of Buddha Shakyamuni, adapted from the work A Life, a Sun and Moon by Master Geoy Duck. This video series will be broadcast at 7 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTube channel Buddhist Story. We sincerely thank you for watching. To not miss the next episodes, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If you find the content useful, please share this video with your relatives and friends. All your comments are very valuable to us. Please leave comments below the video so we can discuss and share together. Thank you, and see you again in the next episodes of the video series, The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni.